So Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston are the two main players for the Indiana Fever, and they're actually way, way closer than people think to being an elite team. But there's one free agent that if they could somehow get, and this is a free agent that's also talked like very positively about Caitlin Clark. It is also a free agent who is coming towards the end of her career. It's going to be a 1-year deal, but he's going to be a player that, honestly, if you draft well and sign this free agent, you become contenders. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are 8 subscribers off 25.1k. If we can hit that by the end of the day, that would be insane. But that free agent is Nneka Ogwumike. And you might be thinking, like, there's no way Nneka Ogwumike leaves Seattle. But I'm sorry, like, she played for the Sparks for her entire career. It's not like Seattle is a market even remotely comparable to LA. And, look, she formed a super team. That's not looking like a super team. Just straight up. Like, they got Skylar Diggins-Smith. They brought in her. They already had Jewel Lloyd. They already had Ezi Magbagor. They were meant to be a super team. And right now, they're in 4th place. And the only reason they're not in 5th is because the Aces lost to the Sky. They're in 4th. More than likely will end the year with Fee Conley back. They're probably going to end the year in 5th. They're probably going to end the year in 5th place. After last year, in fairness, they did finish 11th last year, which is pretty rough. So they were second last year, and now they're in 5th. But it's not like they're going to compete for a title next year. Like, it's not like Skylar Diggins-Smith is young. What's she, like 34? It's not like Nneka's young. Nneka's 34. And this is what Nneka said about Caitlin Clark. In this league, when you get new talents, just like any other team, there's people who are trying to make sure that they make the team. They're still valuable in their spot is still there. So with that, there may come a bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy, but the reality is her impact is apparent. You can't deny her impact. Anyone who says, oh, she's not that great is downright completely dense. She's a threat in so many different ways. She's also lifting in tides. Personally, I'm excited to play against her. I've never played against someone like her, plus I want to get better. And that might be like her saying, oh, it's great to play against her. But she's a free agent. She is a free agent. She is a perfect fit beside Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. She's a really good defender at the 4. She's smart. She can pass. She's relatively athletic. She runs the floor well. She finishes plays well. She can shoot a little bit. Like, Nneka Ogwumike beside Aaliyah Boston is one of the best big... Nneka Ogwumike beside Aaliyah Boston with Caitlin Clark running the point is the best big 3 in the WNBA. I'm sorry, it is. Like, if you're telling me who is a comparable big 3, the Mercury... Jonquel Jones, Breanna, Steward, and Spirina Ionescu is comparable. No, there's no big 3 on LA that is comparable. Like Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson is the best of them all. But if you're asking me who's second best, it's Caitlin Clark. If you're asking me who's third best, Jackie Young, and then the next 2 would be the 2 from the Fever, followed by Kelsey Plum. So if the Fever could manage to go and sign a Nneka Ogwumike, they instantly become contenders. I don't love it because, like, it's going to be a 1-year deal, and you're looking at a team that the goal is to be a contender in a while. But I don't see anything draft-wise that I'd be too, like, worried about. Like, look, in the WNBA, you don't really build from the draft. Most of the time, you will build from free agency. Especially with the way the new CBA is going to be, it's highly likely that the coring rule is gone, which means you're going to be seeing a lot more unrestricted free agents after 5 seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if rookie contracts are shortened to 2 or 3 years. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens because, again, the players have all the power in these CBAs. So, obviously, Nneka Ogwumike is not going to be there for the long term. But are you trying to tell me that if you added her to this team, if you replaced Nalissa Smith with Nneka Ogwumike, that they would not instantly be? I'm trying to think who'd be better than them. The Liberty, yes. The Liberty better than them. Especially because the Liberty getting the Phoenix Mercury's pick. And there's a possibility that ends up being Paige Beckers. And not much of a possibility, but a slight possibility that that's Paige Beckers. But let's just say you've got like the Minnesota Lynx next year. As good as they're going to be, I don't think they're going to be as good as a Fever if the Fever make the right offseason moves. The Connecticut Sun are probably, this is their year. This is their chance. Unless Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas both want to take big pay cuts, unless Dewana Bonner is considering retiring and she just goes, you know what, I want to stay in Connecticut and rather than retiring, I'll go and play for the minimum. There'd be no chance. Like, I'm pretty sure Connecticut could core one of Bree Jones or what's it, Alyssa Thomas, but I don't know how you can afford 5 max contracts. But you've then got Minnesota, who I think aren't going to be as good. Connecticut, I don't think will be as good next year as the Fever if they can sign someone like Nneka. The Aces, yeah, sure, the Aces. So you're looking at a potential 4th best team in the WNBA if they can sign that player. But again, like if you're looking at other teams that are worse than that could be better, the Washington Mystics, like if the Mystics are not a top 6 team in the WNBA next year, I'm shocked. Like you could argue that their 2 best players, like you could argue with Sykes and Shakira Austin are the 2 best players who are both injured and both been out for the year. And you've also got Elena Deladon potentially coming back, so the Washington Mystics become a bit more of a threat. And then if you're the Chicago Sky, you've just got to look at the WNBA free agents because they could be coming up too. Because I think they're a lot further away from being contenders than the Fever are, despite the records. I think that they're further away from like consistently winning. But if you are looking at the Chicago Sky, it's free agency. The big problem is that there's a big hole in the point guard position. Like you're looking through these players and you're like, who can come in and be a like legit point guard piece? Do you go and get Courtney Vandersloot, try to get Courtney Vandersloot back? Probably not. I'm looking through these free agents and how many point guards there are. Do you overpay for a Julie Vanloo, who's a restricted free agent? Maybe. That would be a great shout. Because you do get off the Diamond to Shields money, which gives you $100,000 to play around with. I'm looking, do you go and pay Odyssey Sims? Odyssey Sims has had like a career revival, and obviously you're going to have to pay Kennedy Carter. So it's an interesting one if you're them, but the Fever are in a perfect position. Because you're losing, a lot of people are like, oh, Erica Wheeler's max contract. Yeah, it's 1 year. She's going to be off the books next year. You've got a max contract. And if you can manage to get a Nneka Ogwumike to come up for a 1 year deal, maybe she's thinking, like if she wants to win a ring, if she just wants to play 1 more year and have a chance of winning a ring, she has a better chance at Indiana than Seattle next year. Because again, it's not like Skylar Diggins-Smith is getting younger. And she could always jump ship a year later as well. When the new CBA comes in, the league is effectively all free agents once that CBA comes in. But yeah, that would be an incredible get. And if you could manage to get Nneka Ogwumike to play with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, I'm telling you, that's going to be a unbelievable team. That won't be one of the favorites, but they're instantly in that, like, where the, say, Storm and Lynx are right now in that bubble contenders slot.